This is Engage New York, Module 2, Lesson 11. This is Concept Development. So, the great thing about this lesson today is it's nearly exactly like yesterday's lesson, but instead of going to the tenths and renaming to the tenths, we're going to just rename to the hundredths. So when we go back to add our decimal back in, instead of just adding it back in once, we're going to go in twice to add that decimal back in. All right, so yesterday at first we would go, well, let's do an estimate. So 7.38, what could I round 7.38 to? 7 times 40, because 7.38 would round down to 7 because it's less than 7.5. So 7, 41 would round to 40. So our answer, 7 times 40 would be 280. So then we go, okay, so my product, what I'm actually going to get should be around 280. Now remember though, we rounded down on this problem and we rounded down on this problem. So this is definitely going to be smaller or less than our actual answer. All right, so now let's go ahead and just show this in two different ways. We're going to show it with area model, and we're going to share it. We're also going to do it with standard algorithm. Okay, so 7. And remember, we have decimals here, but we're going to rename it 7 plus 30 plus 8. And we're renaming this, and we're taking that decimal out, and we're renaming it hundredths. And then we're multiplying it by 1 plus 40. All right, so now let's see how you do on doing your partial products, and then we'll check back and check our answers together. All right, so let's go ahead and debrief. Now, because it's hundredths, we have to have 700 plus 30 plus 8. So it's 738 hundredths, 1 plus 40. So when you come over here, you end up with 738. And here you end up with 29,520 when you add that up. So when you add it up down here, you end up with 30,258. And then I have to go back and add my decimal back in, because remember, we took the decimal out. We moved it once, twice, and got rid of it. Now we have to go back and put it in. When you come over here, now remember, if something is amiss, if something's wrong, remember, you should be able to look here and here and find your partial products. So when I multiply this out using standard algorithm, I go back and add my decimal in. Because I moved it out twice, I have to move it back in twice. Yes? How did you guys do?
Good. I did so much work.
All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and start with my area model. I'm going to move my decimal out, and now I have 826. So up here, I have to have 800 plus 20 plus 6. All right, now I'm going to draw my lines to find my partial product, and I have 128. So I have 8 plus 20 plus 100. So I have 9 multiplications to do, and then add them up to get my partial products. All right, so remember, when you're moving your decimal out, it's like you are multiplying by 100. Then at the end, when you get your product, it's like you have to divide back by 100 to move that decimal back into place. Okay, so when you're getting rid of this decimal in order to put it in here, it's like you multiplied by 100 and got rid of it. But once you have your product, you need to divide, you need to do the inverse operation and then go back and divide by 100 to put that decimal point right back in, right? Okay, let's see how you do. Go ahead and complete this, and then we'll come back and check our work. All right. So on problem 2, I have out my partial products. I end up with 105,720, but then I have to go back and put my decimal in, and I end up with 1,057.28. With my standard algorithm, I end up with 1,057.28. So my numbers match. Then over here, I decided to start with standard algorithm and then go the other way. And then I drew my area model. Ended up, I have my partial products. And then I know, yep, I know I'm on target, right? I know I'm doing all right. So now let's go over, since we're done with our concept development and you understand you're just going back and putting in your decimal it's like you're multiplying 100 to get rid of the decimal, and then you're dividing to get by 100 to get that decimal back. All right, so for problem set, I think you're going to be quite happy with this. It says estimate the product. So this is where you're going to estimate across here. You're going to solve using the standard algorithm. That means, guess what it says here? Use the thought bubbles to show your thinking. Draw an area model on a separate sheet if it helps you. So, do you have to? All right, right here, think. 4,416 is 100 times too large. What is the real product? So look here. So 4,416 divided by 100, remember, brings it back. So you're going to do that for these problems here, and you're going to continue right here. You're going to estimate and then solve using standard algorithm. Now, this is the part right here. Friends, look here. Use the whole number product and place value reasoning to place the decimal point in the second product. So, if 98 times 768 is equal to 75,264, then let's take it this way. So what if we say now 98 times 7.68? So we know what the answer is going to be basically here, but there's going to be a decimal. You have to place the decimal. Now, question. Here is the big question. If there are two numbers behind the decimal in the problem, how many numbers will you have behind the decimal in the product? Lastly, Jenny buys 22 pens that cost $1.15, $1.15 each, and 15 markers that cost $2.05 each. How much did Jenny spend? So you need to figure out each one and add it together, right? A living room create measures 24 by 15. An adjacent square dining room. So adjacent means this is an adjacent line. It means touching. It means next door. Adjacent means next door. A lot of you have a wall that separates one room from another room. That's called an adjacent wall. And an adjacent square dining room measures 13 feet on each side. So one measures 24 by 15, and one, the adjacent square dining room, measures 13 feet on each side. If carpet costs $6.98 per square foot, what is the total cost of putting carpet in both rooms? So you need to find out the area, and then put them together, and then how much it's going to cost. This is a 3-step problem. Okay, 3 steps. All right, go ahead and get started on problem set, and then we will come back to debrief.